Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily. Ronnie Rants alongside Tommy Chrysan. I'm coming to you from Natchitoches, Louisiana. TK's coming to you from Tremonti's Meat and Seafood in Baton Rouge. We're presented by LeBear's Casino. LeBear's Casino, the place for all your Major League Baseball action, college baseball, all your futures, college football bets that are going to be popping off in the month of August. If you want to do a fantasy draft, do it at the Barstool Sportsbook. They got plenty of seating over there. You call ahead, get your, big table area reserved. Good place to do the fantasy draft. Uh, TK, today on Sports Shorts, we're going to talk about some news out of the PGA, some comments from Rory McIlroy that are quite interesting. Obviously, the All-Star game, there's been some reaction and fallout to the Emerald City All-Star game. Some positive, some negative. Tommy will tell you all about that. LSU baseball's got a new assistant coach with a familiar name. LSU football, golly, Monday is media day at the SECs. But Brian Kelly's going to be talking football. I think we were 50 days away yesterday to open and weekend in college football, which is unbelievable. 50 days. We don't have many days left with the Rougarou. We'll tell you about that. The Baton Rouge Rougarou Giant Week. We got games coming up over the next 10 days. That's it. 10 days of regular season baseball action. But tonight is Ironman night, and Saturday is the world's tallest, shortest umpire night. Ironman night means we've got a guy by the name of Davis Mesh, who's from Lake Charles, that is going to play all 9 positions. That's a different position for all 9 innings. You're never going to see anything like that ever again the rest of your life. And then also, if you wear an Ironman mask, T-shirt, hat, and look, somebody asked me, can I wear a Cal Ripken jersey because he was called the Iron Man? And yes, you can wear that. If you wear a mask or a hat or a T-shirt from the Iron Man, the cartoon character for the movie, you get in free. But most importantly, in the 4th inning, everybody wearing Iron Man anything is going to take a picture with Davis Mesh on the field in front of the third base dugout during the 4th inning. Want a group photo with him. That's tonight. Really cool. 7 o'clock is when the first pitch is. Gates open at 6. And then Saturday night, we have a 7'2" umpire, Brandon Castillo, who's from around this area. And then we have the Lathan, the kid umpire, who's from a Hammond area, who's 4'2". And they're going to umpire a game. We'll have a third umpire as well. Tallest, shortest. That's going to be something we're going to try to get the Guinness Book of World Records in. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it really is. In fact, Lathan, the kid umpire, and my youngest grandson are on the same travel team. So I've been around Lathan. I've been around his dad, talked to his dad a bunch, and not just on the phone, but at the ballpark and whatnot. So that's kind of cool. But look, the Iron Man thing. People need to know Davis Mesh is a heck of a ball player. He was on the Mississippi State College World Series championship team in 21. I don't think he played a whole lot, but he's got a ring. He was on the team. And as I have watched all the home games this year, he can play baseball. I mean, he's really good. So, and I talked to Coach Cody Jamieson about how they're going to do this. We're going to talk again this morning. He's going to pitch him last, so he doesn't have to kill the DH in his lineup. But he's going to probably start at third, and then every inning he's going to play a different position. We've seen a handful of guys do that in Major League Baseball, like late in the year when the team, I think Freddie Patek did it for the Royals, but they were like 20 games out of first place. It's happened in the minor leagues a few times, but Texas Collegiate League, Pete Goldsby Field, you need to be out there tonight. It's going to be pretty cool.
Really, really neat. You get your tickets at brrougarou.com, brrougarou.com. All right, we'll go in order this way. All-Star game was Tuesday night. Home Run Derby was exciting. Vlad Jr., like father, like son, won the Home Run Derby. We talked about that on Saturday on Sports Church Radio, you, me, and Hunter McCann on 104.5, how I feel like, even though a guy like a Mookie Betts, who's a great baseball player and can hit home runs, when you get into these home run derbies, the bigger, stronger, physical guy, I rather him, because as you get tired, the more rounds you go, the more swings you go, the bigger human, even though the bat speed slows down, the body gets tired, the bigger player is going to be able to just, front foot hit something 350 and potentially hit it out the ballpark.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. It becomes a physical thing on top of the mental end of it. And, Ronnie, when you look back at that whole All-Star week, the home run derby, I think, has officially grown bigger than the game.
I
Okay,
agree.
it's more entertainment, which is the key, and the game has shifted to entertainment. So the home run derby is a bigger thing now because there's a little unknown and chicks dig the long ball and all that good stuff. And the baseball game flat out was boring Tuesday night. I mean, every single batter trying to jack it out of the yard, and the pitching dominated. We know good pitching stops good hitting, but these are the best hitters in baseball that got stopped. And the uniforms, especially the National League, that looked like something a beer league softball team that got the closeout special at the local sporting store. That didn't want to go to the major outlet. They got the for 1/3 the price because it was a closeout sale. That was embarrassing. It really was. Now there's been a huge trend on social media. I posted a picture on my Facebook page from back in the 70s with the All-Star team photo when they all had the different unis. Road team wore their road uni, vice versa for the home team. And not because of me, but nationwide, the trend was please go back to letting them wear those uniforms. Now it's a money grab, and Nike put up a lot of money in those new jerseys the other night. It's supposed to be some new aerodynamic thing, whatever, but they really got to try to get some life back into the All-Star game. And I know the National League won for the first time in forever. I think they got to go back to doing the uniform thing. I don't know if MLB, they don't care what I think, but they may care when millions of people have responded. The game was basically boring. Home run derby was much more entertaining.
Did you see Ken Griffey Jr. is like this big photographer, and he was sitting over there with his photo lens, long lens, taking pictures at the home run derby, like as if he was working for like the AP Wire or something. That was interesting.
See, Steven says you mentioned it was the worst viewed All-Star game of all time. The ratings are already out, and it was just so. Major League Baseball has got to do something because, as you said, Ronnie, it's the last of the good All-Star games. I don't watch hockey stuff, but of the NBA game, and the NFL's basically eliminated the Pro Bowl because it became such a joke and a farce. If Major League Baseball really cares about it, they're going to do something about this to try to make it more interesting or get rid of the All-Star game because then you got so many guys that don't go. So many guys can't pitch because of rotation procedures with their team. Or maybe you move it to the end of the season, kind of like the Pro Bowl did, and then the two teams in the World Series don't have players in the All-Star game because they're in the World Series. Like they did with the Pro Bowl a couple of times. They put it the week before the Super Bowl, and if you were in the Super Bowl, you didn't play in the Pro Bowl, you still got the money if your contract had the bonus. Maybe they got to do something like that. It's something that's got to be addressed, I think, and addressed now.
If you think the ratings are bad in July when there's nothing else going on, imagine the ratings.
Going against football wouldn't be good. You're right.
Not to mention, by the time 162 games is over, those baseball players don't want to pick up a ball for sure. Look, they just have.
Look who's chiming in, right? Can you see that?
No, go ahead.
Brandon Castillo, the world's tallest umpire, said that they don't go back to the old way, people will lose interest in the game and stop watching. He's talking about the All-Star game from a guy who's an umpire. That's his perspective. That's pretty cool. And he's the tallest umpire in the world, part of the big promotion Saturday night for the Rougarou.
Yeah, well, he does a great job behind the plate.
Yeah,
I tell you, Tommy, I agree that they got to do something, but I don't think they're going to get rid of the All-Star game. It's too legendary. It's a moneymaker regardless of the ratings. It's the only time of the year where you really kind of just, for Major League Baseball, have nothing else to go against, and you can just dominate the sports landscape. But I do agree they have to maybe tweak it. And 100% the home run derby is the bigger play. And look, people got mad about the fact that they threw the old incentive for a couple of seasons where whoever won the All-Star game got home field advantage in the World Series, right? Like National League, American League, whichever team won, that league had home field advantage in the World Series, regardless of record. And I'll tell you that, that got a lot of criticism, but at least it incentivized the players to play the game for real, Tommy.
But Ronnie, I'm going to disagree with you because it's an exhibition game. You can't determine the home team in the World Series. Once you say the best league with the spring training record, is going to get the host. I mean, you can't do that. that was an overreaction by Bud Selig when they had the tie game in the
Tie.
All-Star game when they all ran out of pitching. It was what, the 14th inning, and I think that was in Milwaukee actually. And that was an overreaction by then Commissioner Bud Selig. I just don't think you can put that's not fair to the team that plays the other 162 games and perhaps earns home field, and then they can't get it because of an exhibition game in July. All right, Ronnie, let's see here. Brandon Castillo says, looking forward to Saturday night. It'll be a fun night at Pete Goldsby Field with some great baseball being played. That's why we wait for Ronnie to rejoin. That's the other thing about the Rougarou. It's a very good brand of baseball. And I've said that to many, many people in the last month plus. And I'm not just saying that because I want them to come to the game. They're going to come to the game if they want to. But it's a good brand of baseball. They make the routine plays. Pitching for more times than not is very good. And, so anyway, Brandon Castillo told me it's going to be a fun night Saturday night. And I agreed with him. So we'll see what happens with the All-Star game and the Home Run Derby. To be determined.
TBD. First, let's talk about baseball for a minute. Terry Rooney got hired by LSU Baseball to be their new assistant coach. This is a name, if you're a hardcore LSU baseball fan, you'll remember he was an assistant in 2007 and 2008. He was the pitching coach under Paul Maneri in his first 2 years. And, of course, that second year as pitching coach was when he kind of developed Anthony Renato, brought him along as his freshman year coming off of an injury. Then you had Lewis Coleman. He kind of got Lewis Coleman back right after Lewis Coleman had struggled in 06 and in 07 partly. He got him right. And, of course, Lewis Coleman ended up being a great pitcher and winning the national championship. He and Renato. And Terry Rooney, light guy. That was back when Cliff Godwin and him were both assistant coaches. Terry Rooney, a hard worker. The thing I remember about him, he burned the candle all night long. I mean, was a guy that didn't worry about the clock. And that's kind of exactly how Jay Johnson is. He's 24/7, 365. And Terry's like that. And then, of course, Terry ended up moving on, going to Central Florida and Stetson and Houston and other places. So happy for him. Liked the guy. Hadn't really talked to him in a long time, but a likable fella. And I think the players are going to enjoy having him. Remember, this year, college baseball is adding a third paid assistant. Believe it or not, there's only 2 full-time paid assistants on field. They have other volunteer coaches, all that. They're finally taking that tab off of the third assistant and making it a paid assistant. So now that's how Terry Rooney's coming in. They're not making any changes to the staff. They're adding an extra guy.
I wasn't around Terry a lot when he was here, maybe once or twice, a quick hello. But I read through his resume that Bill Franke has put out with the press release. The guy has bounced around, which I think is a good thing. The more experiences, the better. And he's got a pretty good resume at developing pitchers and recruiting. He played a big role in recruiting for Paul Maneri when he was here. He brought in some guys who, ended up playing pro ball and a couple of them into the major league. He recruited DJ LeMahieu, according to the press release. And, of course, he's still playing in the big leagues and was a batting champ. So I think that's a great addition by Jay Johnson for LSU baseball. And look, they're not going to trend down, but we've discussed that many times. They're going to be preseason ranked top 5 for sure, if not top 3, and they're going to be favored to win the SEC.
Yeah, no, but there is some news, right? You told me about the Tennessee pitchers headed to Wake Forest. Tell us about that.
Chase Burns, who entered the portal at Tennessee, has decided to go to Wake Forest. I heard Wake Forest coach Tom Walter, former UNO coach, on the MLB Network this morning while I was driving into Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. And he didn't say the name, but it was all over D1 baseball and all over the internet that Chase, we already knew he was in the portal, that he is going to go to Wake Forest. Tom Walter said Wake Forest could have 4 first-round draft choices on the team this next season. So they're not going away either. Wake Forest is going to be in the conversation all year long for sure.
All right, we move on to a comment. I want to get your reaction. A comment made by Rory McIlroy. Now, he's playing in the Scottish Open, and he was talking to the media, and he said the last place on earth that he would if the Live Tour was the last tour on earth and there was no other tour that he would retire, he'd just simply play the majors. You believe him?
I do believe him. He's got enough money, and he'll start developing golf courses, or he'll make more. He'll make money. Money's not the issue, but he's that adamant about the PGA Tour and his loyalty to them. And then he is one of the people who view the Live Tour as kind of comical. The short pants, the shotgun start, the rock and roll music, the team thing. I mean, 54-hole event instead of 72. And there are a lot of people on that bandwagon, and I kind of agree with that it's not the same as the PGA Tour. They tried to be different to grab attention. The USFL tried to be different than the NFL. They were the first to have a 2-point conversion. By the way, Alan Richard converted the first ever 2-point conversion in the USFL.
There you go.
Pass for the Arizona Wranglers. I forget who caught it. But, so they tried to do things different. When the XFL came out, they tried to be different with no coin toss. They had the scrum at the middle of the field to see who got the kickoff. So the Live was trying to be different. But they got money. Money talks, BS walks. Okay, I actually watched about an hour of the Senate committee hearings just the other day when they were talking to the PGA Tour reps, a board member and another person, about they're trying to investigate this agreement. And the bottom line is there's an agreement to make an agreement. That's like me and you saying, Ronnie, you and I are going to go to lunch next week, but we don't know where we're going yet. It might be Tremonti's, it might be Court Street Cafe, it might be Walk-Ons and Brewery. We don't know yet. So we made an agreement to make an agreement about where we're going. That's the analogy of what the PGA Tour and Live Golf. But look, there was also a report that originally in the negotiations, Live Golf wanted Rory McIlroy and Tiger Woods to own a Live team.
Right, to be captain.
They never told them guys about it. It was something that got proposed and somehow it got shot down. I think the interesting question in the Senate committee here, they asked the guy, Jimmy Dunne, D-U-N-N-E, why weren't any of the PGA Tour players made aware of what was going on instead of them finding out about it like everybody else did on Twitter at 9:30 on a Tuesday morning. And he basically said because of the nature of the discussion, they thought it was best to keep a lid on it, until they reached the agreement to reach the agreement. You made the point before we got on air here that, it's going to happen. There would be too much egg on the face of the PGA Tour if they said, okay, we couldn't make an agreement, we're back to doing what we're doing. Because they've already reacted by upping purse sizes, having some other events elevated to a higher level. And
they've already taken the criticisms too. They knew as soon as they announced this there was going to be backlash because they were so anti-Live for a year, and they knew they were going to have egg on their face to a certain degree. So clearly, it's worth it financially for them to have egg on their face. And the fact that they basically agreed to a deal in principle but haven't worked out the details yet with the attorneys, that's one thing. But this is going to happen.
Yeah, I fully expect it to happen. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. You can't unscramble the egg. We know all the little jokes, but I think it's going to happen. If anything else, it's giving golf a lot of attention. The oldest saying in Hollywood was, I don't care what you say about me, just say something.
Right.
Well, golf's getting talked about. The PGA, Live, this agreement, the major tournaments, the Ryder Cup, and they play on it. The guys who jump ship to the Live Golf, and then you guys like Ian Poulter, who basically said, he said, I've played golf all over the world my whole life. Why can't I keep doing it?
Right.
The PGA Tour banned him. So I think the dust will settle, not overnight, but I think it'll settle in time.
By the way, a couple little quick notes before we get out of here. They had the ESPY Awards. LeBron announced he's not going to retire. There was some controversy there. He acted like he was thinking about it, and he made an announcement.
Did you see what he did after, though?
No, what did he do after?
He did the fake crown on his head.
Oh, right.
If you're really the king, you don't have to tell them about it.
If
you're really good at something, you're really the best pool shooter in your local dive bar, you don't have to tell nobody. Everybody knows you're the best pool shooter. So LeBron he's an attention whore. He has to have attention. That's why he came out, with, I was going to retire, and now I'm not. When a year ago he said he wanted to play with his son, so that would mean he wouldn't retire. He just has to have attention. Granted, he's accomplished mega things on the court.
LSU got attention yesterday at the ESPYs. Angel Reese picked up an award. They had a lot of her teammates there. The women's basketball team was there. Also, Livy Dunn made an appearance and threw the and all. I mean, it's a lot of love for LSU.
As Skip Bertman would say, the brand continues to
Yeah.
grow. The
Yeah.
brand. I mean, that there ain't a lot of people watch the ESPYs anymore, but the people who did, it was a commercial for LSU. It was branding the brand, which is already the most powerful in the nation.
And all you need to know is that I think what the there were at least, I want to say, two two games at the College World Series that were higher rated than the All Star game
Yeah,
last
well,
night, Tuesday.
I didn't see those numbers, but it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Um, Chris, Christoph Porzingis, who's I'm a big Celtics fan, so Porzingis is headed to the Celtics, signed a new extension and all that kind of stuff. Career, I think he's a guy that with the right organization is going to flourish. I'm looking forward to if he's healthy, that's going to really help them. Sad news: ESPN's Dick Vitale has throat cancer. He's got 6 weeks of radiation coming up. And look, I understand there's some crazy LSU fans that have it out for Dick Vitale and he and the whole situation with Will Wade back in the day, and it was good radio with Colada for a while there and everything with the going back and forth, good stuff. But I don't think about Dick Vitale in modern terms. I think of Dick Vitale of the '80s and the '90s when ESPN was on the come up and he was the face of college basketball. I remember what a rock star he was and how great he was to the student section when I was in college and all that kind of stuff. So I'm a Dick Vitale fan. I don't care about his politics or his hypocrisy later in life. He's friends with the big schools that cheat, but then he calls out the ones that cheat too. And, whatever. That's for everybody else to have fun with now. But Dick Vitale, for me, Tommy, I'll always think of him in the 80s and 90s.
Well, he did as much as anybody to grow the game of college basketball. When you talk about grow the game, and that's what PGA Tour and Live Golf, quote unquote, say they're trying to do. They're trying to grow the game. But Vitale, who was once the head coach of the Detroit Pistons,
right?
He had coached at Detroit University and had a really good record. And the Pistons hired him. That didn't go as well. And then he went into broadcast. But no, he's an icon in the world of college basketball, whether you like him or not. 84 years old, third bout with cancer in 2 years. And this is vocal cord cancer, I read this morning. So we wish him well because he did as much as anybody. And there's a lot of people that helped grow the game of college basketball. But at the time he did it, when the media coverage was exploding, ESPN was exploding, he helped the ESPN explode, not just college basketball. Because I remember, Ryan, like you said, when you were in college, I remember he was a rock star coming into the building to announce a game.
Oh, yeah.
As much as the leading scorer was for whatever team was on the floor, at whatever arena he was in. He was the rock star walking in. He got all the attention. So we wish him well. And of course, he's a sportscaster. You and I are sportscasters, but we haven't had the impact he's had, not even close. But I wish him well. I'm not his biggest fan, but I understand and respect what he did.
It's a shame, the vocal cord cancer for a guy whose voice is what it's all about, right? His personality that comes through his voice. It's such a shame. You'd think he'd probably rather lose a leg or a limb or a sight, anything other than his voice.
Right. I mean, on a smaller scale, you lost your voice for a couple of days last week.
Right.
And I know not just because of Sports Shorts Daily, but just to do Rougarou stuff every day and Hall of Fame stuff every day, it was tough on you. So put that in perspective.
Yeah, and then I think back to it's a shame like Neil Diamond, right? Neil Diamond was on a tour in Australia, found out he had some issues with his voice and throat and all that, and had to retire immediately. How about Celine Dion? She's shut down right now while she's dealing with some health issues that affects her voice, and she can't sing for concerts and stuff right now. So you feel bad for those. I mean, again, all the things that they could have, anything. They'd rather lose sight, limbs, whatever, any kind of health issues. Their voice is what they're known for, and it's tragic. All right, TK, tell us about Tremonti before we get out of here.
All right, lunch special today is jambalaya. I'll be back over here tomorrow. They can do on-site catering for your office, small group, large group. It doesn't matter. They'll have some boiled crabs today and Saturday. The crabs really looking great. They only sell number ones and selects over here at Tremonti's. The wine selection, the whiskey, the vodka, you name it. Right down the street from Parkview Baptist Church and School on Jefferson Highway. I want you to check out Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. They're looking forward to Monday night on the VIP deck out at the Rougarou game. So they'll be out there. You got a chance to meet some of those folks. And of course, don't forget tonight, the Ironman night. Then Saturday night, the tallest and shortest umpires in the world. A lot of promotions, big fun stuff out at Pete Goolsby Field. We want you to come check it out.
Go check it out at brrougarou.com. You can get tickets online. You get tickets at the gate. Games at 7, gates at 6. Pete Goolsby Field is 1502 Foss Street. You know where Catholic High plays football? Downtown at Memorial Stadium by the state capitol. We're literally next door to it. We'll see you, everybody. Have a good one. We'll be back on Friday, back tomorrow morning for more Sports Shorts Daily. Until then, have a good one.